Hey, everyone. How's it going? Glenia, is that any better?
Much better.
Oh, good.
Hello.
Okay. Hi. Good to see you. Well, good to hear you. I don't see you yet, but I hear you.
Yeah, you probably won't see me because
Okay. Oh, no problem. Everyone seeing the slides up on the screen?
Yes,
Fantastic. Thanks.
yes.
We'll give everyone just a couple more minutes. How is everyone? I hope everyone's good. I realize we normally do these on Friday, and so I'm in that like mindset that it's Friday, but it's Thursday. So hope everyone's week has gone well. Ready
It
for
did show today.
yeah. Oh, what's going on?
It's everything back to back stacked.
I hear you. I hear you. All right. Well, hopefully we will be able to give you back a couple minutes of time this afternoon. We'll see. Thanks for making time to join. One more thing.
Seats in the break room.
Get my volume up. Good. All right. Got a couple more minutes. We'll give, folks are still joining, so we'll get started in just a couple minutes. All right. Well, I think we're still getting folks rolling in here. It's like Thursdays, maybe a good day to do it's not a Friday. No one wants a Friday meeting, right? So
No.
glad, right? Okay, so good. Especially when we realized, oh, it's a Mother's Day weekend. All right, let's see if we can knock this out earlier on. So good. Thanks for joining. Good to see you all. Antoine, it's been a little bit. Nice to see you. Good stuff. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Mitchell, hi. All right. Good stuff. All right. Well, I think we are, we're recording, just so you know, so that you can, if you have to jump off for whatever reason today, you can, we'll post this up on the webpage as well as all of the slides as a PDF so that you can reference them as you need to. But welcome everybody. And if you wanted to maybe just by like a show of hands, is this anybody's first outreach webinar? We got any brand new trainers joining us for the very first time today?
Peter Jerry's new.
Hey, Peter, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Great.
Yvonne Poole here. This is my first webinar.
All right. Hi, Yvonne. Thanks for making time.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Gabriella Mills as well.
Great. Good. All right. Well, hopefully, you will get some good tidbits out of the webinars. We do these quarterly and we record them as well, just to kind of go over things that we wanted to bring to your attention as your authorizing training organization, and give an opportunity for you to ask questions if you need to, and also just share some additional training resources and things that are out there, because as you know, as outreach trainers, you do your update every 4 years, but there's new stuff that comes out all the time. And so we want to make sure that you've got access to that if you need to. So we will go ahead and get started. My usual co-pilot, Angenique, is not able to attend today. So normally she's real good about manning the chat. So I'm hoping that someone else on here, I'm hoping that Yvonne, our outreach coordinator, or Jenny might be able to just keep an eye on that for me in case there's something that I miss as we pop through. All right, so we shall get started without further ado. So for a couple of you, I haven't had an opportunity, I think, to meet you yet. I'm Hillary Warren, the director of the OSHA Training Institute Ed Center here at Georgia Tech. I've been with the program about 18 years this summer. I normally instruct the 501, so I get to meet a lot of our general industry outreach trainer folks. But if some of you, like Peter maybe, or Gabriella, if I haven't had an opportunity to meet you yet, that's maybe because you're on the construction side of things and got to have class with Philip or others. So glad to have you. And this is our great team in this photo here behind me. This was at the end of a 510 or 511 class, I think. So we've got Shonda in that great orange. We've got Dana Atkinson in the blue. Most of you probably had him for a 511 at one point if you took it here at Georgia Tech. We've got Yvonne Jones, our outreach coordinator, and Angenique Walker, our program and operations manager there. So as you can tell, we're fun. We like to have a good time. And here's all of my contact info. If you hadn't already seen that, you can reach out at any time if you've got questions about things. Other contact information. This is good stuff to bookmark for yourself, just to know it's always been on the back of your course matrix for any class you've ever taken with us. But again, just a reminder of who's who and who does what. And the best way to get a hold of any of us these days is certainly through an email address. And so for our outreach trainers, we have a dedicated email that's specifically for you that is training card requests. Notice that S there on the end at innovate.gatech.edu. And you can email any kind of question you've got about outreach training to that. You know, you forgot your password, or you're blocked in the portal, or there's some trouble or something that you have a question about. Just in your email, if you would include the best contact, you know, for you, whether it's phone or an email back, and a good time of day to reach you. You know, Yvonne answers almost all of those calls, and she, you know, in an effort to not have a phone tag back and forth, just put when is a good time for her to reach you, and then she'll reach out. Okay, so that's all of our contact info. I just wanted to spend and pause just for a second, you know, to although Workers' Memorial Day was, you know, back at the very end of April, I think it's important to just pause and realize that did just pass by, and reflect on that a little bit, and set the reminder for ourselves of why we are invested in doing safety and health training, and why it's important, and that we keep doing what we're doing in honor and memory of these folks that we lost this past year. And I also wanted to call out, I try to at every opportunity that I've got, the Kids Chance Scholarship Program. Maybe some of you have heard of Kids Chance. It started here in Georgia and now has a chapter in almost every state nationwide. They give scholarships to children who have lost a parent to a workplace fatality, or lost that parent's income due to a catastrophic injury that's preventing them from continuing to work. And so they do great work. We partner with them every fall during the Georgia Safety and Health Environmental Conference that's coming up, to sort of silent auction off one of our full certificate programs, and happy to continue doing that as long as there's need, right? So just that's why I wanted to pause for a moment there and just pay homage to what it is that we're doing and what brings us together today. So our agenda for today is a little bit different. For some of you who've been coming to webinars for a long time, we normally sort of launch right into like, here's what we're seeing and here's some big reminders. But I wanted to give an opportunity to talk a little bit about who are our Georgia Tech trainers anyways. We've started asking some different questions on that student data form that you fill out in every class that you take with us. And so we've gotten a little bit more information about who you folks are. And we also administered a survey sort of in the late end of 2022 and the first few months of 2023 to just get a little bit more feedback from our outreach trainers about the amount of training you conduct and challenges you have and things like that. So I wanted to share the results of those surveys and talk a little bit about our plans for this coming year and things that we're putting in motion in response. I've got a little bit on process reminders, got some upcoming events and resources to highlight for you, and then open it up for question and answers. I've got about 30 slides, and then the rest of the slide that would be in the PDF that you can download afterwards has got a whole bunch more info, like again, more process info, more portal reminders, more agendas and topics and resources. And so you can peruse that at your leisure. A lot of stuff is hyperlinked, so accessing it through that PDF will be helpful because you can just click right on what it is that you want to see. All right. So who are you anyhow? Who are our Georgia Tech outreach trainers? We have almost 2,000 of you here in this authorized training organization that we call Georgia Tech. And so we did a poll of folks in the 500 and the 501 over the last sort of 6 months to say, all right, well, what you got for experience, right? We all know we have that prerequisite of at least 5 years of experience, but we've probably got a lot more than that in this wheelhouse. So just to show you a little bit about, that most of the folks that took the 500 in the past 6 months had somewhere between 6 and 10 years of experience. We've got a whole bunch that are over 20, right? And looking sort of almost a similar reflection in that 501 category as well. So we know that our trainers are knowledgeable because you're coming with a lot of experience. Our 502 folks ask sort of the same question, how long have you been doing this? And this is where I think it kind of gets a little bit interesting, is because we've got a big gray portion here for those in construction that have been doing this, 11 to 15 years. And then we've got 16 to 20, and then we've got a big 20 plus, right? So we've also got folks who have been outreach trainers for a long time, and they are continuing to do training and working in this field. So then we did a little analysis on, all right, well, how many classes are y'all conducting, right? These are metrics that we have to report to OSHA, right? The national office, right? All of the ed centers want to report, how many classes are being held, how many trainers do we have, what are they doing, what's this outreach really look like when it's boots on the ground. So from August only until April, this is what we saw in terms of classes that you all reported as outreach trainers. So we've got a lot of construction 10 hours, we've got a lot of general industry 10 hours, and then, still a significant portion. I mean, again, this is only 6 months worth really of data of folks doing construction 30 hours too. So that's sort of how it's breaking out in terms of those numbers. And so then how many students are in those outreach classes? And we're looking at a lot of people that you have touched. We've got almost 5,000. And I would say, now that we're moving into May, we're going to be at probably 5,000 construction 10 hours that have been cards have been put into the hands of folks that you all have trained. So really resounding success. Well done. And thanks for your commitment on those numbers. But one of the things that I think is interesting when we compare the number of classes and the number of students, and then asked a little bit about the frequency with which our outreach trainers are conducting classes. These were the responses that we got in sort of our survey that we conducted. So the vast majority of you, I think it was like 71% of you, are only conducting 1 to 5 of these classes per year. Right. And then we got 30% of you who are our high volume trainers. This is really what you do, I think, as part of your job. And so you run classes all the time, right? And are driving those student numbers up. But the vast majority of our outreach trainers, they don't spend a whole lot of time conducting outreach training. Another question we asked was, who are you training? And again, more than half of you said, we're training people internal to our company. All right. So it's internal folks, not external. A good portion of you also, sort of do internal and external. So we've got some folks that are probably consultants, right? Or in that realm, or you've got your company's got a foot both in general industry and construction. And so you've got to sort of think about, maybe what's happening inside and outside, or for contractors that are coming on. And then a small portion of you really focusing only on external folks. And so what that really comes down to, holy moly, when we look at all that data, is that last year, January 1st through December 31st, there were 1,500 classes that were conducted by just Georgia Tech outreach trainers, for a whopping, over 17,000 students that achieved a 10-hour or a 30-hour as a result of your efforts. So I wanted to celebrate that and say thank you. That's some big numbers. And in doing that, I also wanted to shout out Yvonne Jones, our outreach coordinator, because that means that she is reviewing 1,500 course reports and making sure that all 17,145 students get their cards. So that's a big lift. And in addition to managing that element of the program, she also is reviewing those applications that come in from you all to take the 500 and the 501 and the update classes. And so when I looked at those numbers, again, I wanted to pause for a moment and celebrate Yvonne for the amount of effort and eye strain that I know she's probably got from processing all of this stuff. She does a great job. And as a result, we've got a really successful outreach training program here. So thanks, Yvonne, for your hard work. That's a lot of folks that applied for the outreach training process. Not all of them are approved, right? As some of you probably know, we're looking at that with a critical eye to make sure that we're getting the best of the best into this program. So I wanted to just sort of talk a little bit about, well, so what did all that data mean, and what does that mean for us as an ATO? Remember over 70% of our outreach trainers that responded to our survey, and we had, over 200 responses, said that they only conduct training, maybe 1 to 5 times per year. And then I reflected on when I run the 501 as probably some of our instructors that are on the call now, when they think about the update classes that they run, how much time do we get to spend talking about procedures and policies and requirements of the outreach training program? At most, we're spending 2 hours probably, right? Sort of quickly covering a whole lot of stuff. And a lot of our longtime trainers, y'all maintain your authorization, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you train regularly, right? But it's been interesting in the past year for sure, the number of calls and inquiries that we have gotten from folks who are longtime authorized trainers saying, hey, I never actually had to do the training before, but now my company is really requesting that we start running 10 and 30 hours. And where do I start? Because it's been a while and I don't really remember everything. And so that's, we want the best outreach trainers representing Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech wants to be the best ATO that it can be for you. So as a result of some of the information that we got through that survey, and thanks to those of you who answered some of those questions for us, things that you indicated that you need and things that you might want, as well as what we see as the ATO, through records audits or observational audits, and looking at the data and saying, okay, again, we don't get to spend a whole lot of time going through some of the things that matter to outreach trainers during the actual classes. So how do we fill in that gap? All right. And so that is sort of where we're going for our plans for this coming year. A lot of you who responded to the survey said that the challenge is on agenda planning and on records retention and all the forms, and that curriculum development is tricky, and that you also struggle in the outreach portal. And so things that we said, hey, what if we were able to offer these? Would these be things that you would be interested in taking advantage of? And so these are sort of ranked in terms of, here are some of the things that you all said would be helpful to you as outreach trainers. So things like templates, some guidance on how to develop curriculum and how to develop and then implement activities during your class times, to talk a little bit about how do you develop an assessment or a quiz or a knowledge check. Y'all know we don't have to do that as a rule in the 10 and 30 hour classes, but a lot of companies have indicated, to their trainers, no, you got to have something. We want something in place. So how do you do that? How do you actually put together the right type of question in a way that gives you the actual answer that you want? I mean, a lot of you talked about tutorials, easy ways to get access to that info. So what we're working on here this year is sort of an outreach trainer coaching program that will incorporate a lot of these resources that you have indicated would be helpful to you. So that will be rolling out over the summer, and stay tuned. We're excited about it. I think it'll be really helpful. And again, it's based on the feedback that you all have given us. Any questions so far? I'm going to pause for a second, just make sure that I don't run away with conversation if you guys have got something you want to share right now. All right. So carrying on, just a couple process reminders for you. There's a lot on the screen don't try to read it. It's literally excerpted sort of right out of that requirements document that you all, have been provided and hopefully read at one point or another. The one thing that I wanted to just highlight again at the bottom is this acting in a respectful manner to students, clients, and your ATO. All right, those are all things that we're looking for when it comes to how you represent Georgia Tech, and you all signed that code of conduct and are out there acting professionally, and we appreciate it. But just wanted to re-highlight that for you. So we have, one of the things that we've implemented is sort of a reminder for outreach trainers as we start to notice that your expiration date is coming up. We're trying to send out courtesy emails to let you know 90 days out, 60 days out, 30 days out, just sort of an automatic reminder to let you know, hey, you're about to expire. Make sure that you get signed up for a 502 or a 503 prior to that expiration date. Because remember, once it's gone, it's gone. So we've got a bunch of upcoming classes for the remainder of the year. All right. If you are not sure of when your expiration date is, it will be on your card. If you don't know where your card is, you could reach out to us and we can help you find A, a replacement, and B, how to check in the portal for where you're in your trainer profile to list your expiration date. I've gotten calls from people who will say, oh my God, I thought it was 5 years. It's 4 years, right? It's 4 years for expiration. And so the way that we are going to send you that email to let you know you're about to expire is to the current email address that we have on file. So if you don't have your most updated and most frequently checked email in your trainer profile in the portal, that is something that you are going to want to modify. All right. And that is something that we have to assist you with. So you're going to email the team and say profile update and let us know what's the new email that you want that sent to. Okay. All right. And reminders. So for the 502 and the 503, the stuff we need from you when you apply to take the class is the first page of the prereq form, okay, the signed last page of the prereq form, a copy of your current card, from your class. If you don't have that, then you can pull a transcript and have that sent or included instead. It can't just be a certificate. And then you'll get your updated statement of compliance. We ask for more information from folks coming from other ATOs. So if you are a new trainer for us because you came from somewhere else, then we probably asked for your resume and a full prerequisite verification form so that we have that on file. The classes, the 502s and the 503s, just a reminder for all of you, they close, the actual registration for that class will close the week prior to the class starting. So you can't apply. Applying and registering are two different things, right? Applying is saying, hey, I want to take this class, review all of my documents. Registration is I am purchasing my seat in that class because I've been approved. All right. So registration closes prior to the class. So just make sure that you get all your stuff in on time, please. And just again, that reminder for everybody, if you expire because you didn't take your trainer update class in time, you have to repeat the trainer course. And you can only repeat the trainer course if your 511 or 510 has been in the past 7 years. So we've had a good number of folks in the past, couple of years who have had to start back at the beginning. That's not our rule. That's the OSHA Ed Center rule. That's from the Office of Training and Ed, because they're trying to level that playing field, make sure everybody's really starting from the same place, because it didn't used to be a prerequisite that people took the 510 or 511. Okay, that wasn't always the case. So now they want to make sure that everyone's at least had that standards course and had a refresher, on things that have changed. Standards have changed. So that's what that's all about. Okay. I also want to highlight, if the dates for the 502 or 503 are not going to work out for you, you can reauthorize by taking the 500 or the 501. All right, that's always an option. And we've had to send a couple of Georgia Tech trainers to other ed centers to make sure they didn't lose their authorization because the dates just didn't work for them. So they needed to go elsewhere. We want you to reauthorize in time more than you stay specifically with us, right? So just those are process reminders to get yourself into the right class. The other thing I wanted to highlight because I've been getting a lot of questions. I think we've been getting a lot of questions about, okay, so where do I start, right? Because we've got a lot of folks that are maybe training for the first time, or you took your 500 or your 501 and you didn't have to do any training for a couple of years, and then suddenly you get asked to run a class and you're like, I don't remember what I'm supposed to do. I need a refresher. So you start with the requirements document and then the industry specific procedures document, whether it's construction or general industry. Those are going to be where you start. Read again. Okay. And then think about outlining, what your agenda is going to be. And do you have all of your times and your topics scheduled out the right way? Okay. Then you're going to put in an advance notice into the outreach portal. That's the next step. Okay. We require at Georgia Tech that you do give us an advance notice to let us know that you're planning on conducting a class. We're always hoping that we get that, just as far in advance as we can from you, but sometimes, it'll be the day before. That's what happens sometimes with construction, is suddenly the weather is cooperating or not cooperating, and you get asked to run a 10-hour class sort of on the fly. That's fine. Put in your advance notice just as soon as you know. Okay. Anyone got any questions there? Just want to make sure I pause. Okay. Also, reminder that you need to report that you conducted that class within 30 days. Okay. So once you run it, we encourage you to just do it just as soon as you can, put it back into the portal, but at least within 30 days, that's the expectation. If it's after 30 days, the portal won't let you, it'll block you. So you got to contact Yvonne and she'll help you get coordinated. Any questions? Yeah.
Ma'am, on the new portal, I don't know if I'm correct, there isn't a place to do the advanced notification, is that right?
There is a place to do the advance notice, and I think I've got some slides, so I'll show you where that is if you have not yet seen it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hillary,
Yeah.
Hillary, I got one question. I gave my advance notice and I ended up being sick on the second day and I'm having to reschedule. Do I need to update my advance notice or am I good?
So you can't revise it. So if you've got a new set of dates, Deborah, you can just go ahead and put in a new advance notice.
All right,
Great
it's just the
question.
second day. I had the first one.
Oh,
And
okay.
you know what I'm
okay.
saying? I split mine, in 2 different weeks.
Yep.
Is what it was, not back to back. And so it was that second day, that second set. I
That'll
had
be
to
it-
switch to a date.
Switch. It should be fine. Yep. So you're
It's
just going to
just-
enter your course report at this point then, since you've already started your class.
Right,
Once you're
right.
done.
Yeah, and then so that won't matter. I don't have to update that advance just cause that second day change then.
No, that's
Okay,
fine.
just when I file, when I finish
Correct.
with the right dates. Okay.
With the right dates.
Okay.
Yep. The
Sounds good.
advance notice is just sort of notice, right? To let us know, hey, I'm planning on this. It helps us to sort of know about our resources. It helps us know if we're thinking that we're going to conduct an observation, we would know to contact you and just double check, hey, is this still currently scheduled? So what I would encourage you all to do is, when you put in your advance notice, you do have opportunity to upload your agenda at that time. So the new portal, the old portal, you couldn't store anything there. The new portal, you can upload multiple files for every class that you conduct, which is really nice because then it's all housed in one place and it's sort of a backup for you. So put in your agenda right off the bat. That way, if there's if there's a problem when we're reviewing the course report, for example, your agenda is already there. And, you know, sometimes Yvonne can just answer the question without even having to have a back and forth with you. She can see right away where what you put into the portal didn't match what you actually had on your agenda. So she can answer those questions. So I really encourage you to make use of uploading the documents for your courses directly into the portal for every course report. The other thing I wanted to highlight, because we have seen this experience as well, is trainers contacting us and saying, I never got my cards. And so we'll pull up their course report and see, oh, you entered all of the information in. You told us when, you gave us the student names, you told us your topics, but when you got to the part where you were supposed to pay, you didn't. So that's the hang up. All right. The cards won't process unless there's a payment. So what we've seen happen is maybe you've given authorization to someone else, you know, on your team to enter stuff into the computer for you. And, or you started to fill it out, right? Like, you know, on our side of things, there's only one person on our team that's got a P card. And so I might be putting all of my course report information in for a class I conducted, but then I got to stop and pause because I got to go and get someone else to get the P card to put the number in. And then I forgot. Right. And so then when I'm thinking, oh, I put my course report in, I did that. I did, but it didn't pay. So that's why the cards didn't process. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great. Look, we all make mistakes, right? We make mistakes. I tell everyone in the 501 that, you know, that I run, some of the errors that I've made in running a 10 or 30 or putting stuff into the portal, it happens. Don't panic. Okay. Don't panic. Don't try to hide it. Don't fudge those numbers in that paperwork. Okay. You signed that code of conduct. So you just let us know. Just email us at that training card requests email and say, I made a mistake. I missed a deadline or I got blocked. Don't worry. Just let us know. Okay. We want you to succeed. The sun, I always say the sun will continue to rise and the sun will continue to set. All right. Even if it's 31 days instead of 30, just don't delay any longer. Once you realize there's a problem, let us know.
Hey, Hillary, Bernard,
Yeah.
Percy. Hey,
Hey.
just a quick question because it's been since a while since I did a class, and since we were talking about cost, student cards are still $10 or did it go up?
Great question. So student cards are still $8.
Oh, okay.
However, they are looking at that number and expecting it to change. It was a discussion that all of the ed centers had in the fall. Right? Like all of us are experiencing inflation, you know, with eggs and bread and whatever else. So aren't the costs of shipping things and printing things and all of that's gone up. So the ed centers dialogued about increasing the card cost because it's been actually a fairly long time since they increased that from the 5 that it was for a really long time. So I do expect that it probably will go up. The number, the number that has been thrown around is either $10 a card or $12 a card. Okay, just so that you can know those are the numbers that are being talked about. There's not an effective date for that yet. We have a meeting at the beginning of June, and I'm sure we'll dialogue about it again. And as soon as I know something more substantial, that will be passed along to y'all. But just to give you a little bit of insight, that's
good.
what's being talked about. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hillary,
Yes.
I've got a question concerning class sizes and cards. You put your advance notice in and say you've got 20 students, but at the time of the class, you may have now 25.
Mhm.
Is that a problem?
No, sir, it is not, because you're still within that
Yeah.
3 to 40, right? So you put in your advance notice, and then when
Right.
you're ready to tell us that you did it, you'll be able to pull that back up and just modify it and say, hey, I actually had 25. So that's not a problem at all.
So I don't have to do a new advance notice.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Nope. Great question. It's only when you're going to be, there's a below the minimum
And above.
or if it exceeds the maximum that you would need to communicate with us, but otherwise it's up to you to change it as you need to.
Okay.
Good question. Just remember, hold on to all those documents, y'all. 5 years at least. And the new portal, again, makes it really easy to have a backup where you can upload all your stuff. So I encourage you again to make use of that. Scan your student sign-in sheets, scan your agenda, scan your student addresses, all the records that you normally keep. Go ahead and PDF them and then just upload them so that they're attached right to that course report. Okay. I'm just going to remind you, it's on you as the outreach trainer. You are the one that has to keep those records, even if you leave your job, right? Even if you say, I don't want to do outreach training anymore. I'm done. I'm going to have a whole new career, right? Or I'm retiring or whatever it is. It's 5 years from when you completed that class. Okay. You still need to maintain all of that documentation. So they are your students. And one of the things that's really important is to really try to make sure your students know how to get a hold of you, that there's contact info that you've shared with them, whether it's on the agenda you provide to them, or maybe on the certificate that you issue to them. For if you're one of those folks that issue certificates while you wait for your cards to come, give them every opportunity to contact you, because that's how a student replaces their card. Is it should funnel through you, the outreach trainer, not us. It should be something that they contact you about, and then you can come into the system and say, I'm ordering a replacement for this individual. All right.
Plus, they love to come to you 10 years later and say, hey, I lost my card. Do you have a copy?
Right.
I told you to have a copy, make a copy, put one in your desk and put one in the bank and send one to the governor. So it always happens.
Put it in the safe deposit box, right? Oh, no, no, I won't say. I was going to say, give it to your wife because she'll know where all the stuff is, right? But anyhow.
You are correct.
Yeah, but you should be making copies, right, for yourself, and you can encourage your students to make a copy. You made a really good point. They should be making a copy of it too, just like we should for our licenses and things like that before we travel. We do get folks who have been contacting their outreach trainers, after 5 years and saying, I lost my card, can you give me a new one? If you have a copy, right, if you still have your photocopy or your scan of the card that you issued them, more than 5 years ago, then they can have that if you wanted to provide it, but you can't request that an actual new card be reissued. They're going to have to take that 10 or 30 hour again. We had this conversation before in a previous webinar, and I wanted to leave this slide in here just for you all to mull on, for yourselves to think back about your classrooms and your participants. And we always have a lot of dialogue about, how do we manage some of those classroom dynamics when we've got people who are asleep or keep wanting to leave the room or whatever it is. And, we've had to come up with some really specific criteria around attendance for a virtual class, right? Like if you're taking your 502 or 503 online with us, one of the requirements is your camera's got to be on. You can't be driving while you take the class. You need to, treat that online learning experience the same way you would treat an in-person experience. But we all know that sometimes the in-person experience, you've got folks that are struggling. And so, just for you to think about, do I have a classroom expectations, sort of document that, or discussion that you have with folks at the outset of your 10 or 30 hours, just to make sure everyone sort of knows what's the rules around attending this class? What would prevent me from successfully achieving my 10-hour card at the end of this, right? Because they have to be present for all of that 10 or all of that 30 hours. So just something for you to think about. I think I've just got a couple more reminders back to the portal. If you've never been in the portal before, the new portal, outreachportal.com, the very first time you go to that page, you will click this blue button, right? It says follow this link, and you're going to put in an email address, and it's going to give you a code, and then you can get in. And then every other time you come back to this page, you will just log in with your email and your contact info. So that we had a question about, where do I get to put in an advance notice? So once you're logged in, right, you'll see the screen that looks like this. It's all these pictures. And as you mouse over them, they will go from black and white to a color image. Okay. So to tell us that you're going to conduct a class, remember, you're going to click first on this one that says add outreach report. Okay. Then once you're on that page, it will show you, click here to add your advanced notification. So there's no picture. I wish there was a picture. That would be helpful, but there's not. So what you have to remember is, I'm going to say add outreach report first, then look for the words that say, click here to submit my advanced notification. All right. And that's where you will put your information in, telling us that you're going to run a class. We don't approve advanced notices. Okay. So once you put it in, you're free to conduct your class. You don't need approval from us. It's just that you have to submit one. Okay. So you should get an auto response back that says your advance notice was successfully received. That's all you're going to get. You're not going to get anything else that says, you need to do something different than what you've already done. Okay. Again, if you have not been in the portal and hadn't realized that there's this section, it's both on the advance notice if you wanted to put your agenda in, but it's also on your course report page. You just got to scroll all the way to the bottom. Okay. Once you've filled out all your stuff, scroll to the bottom of that course report, and it will show you this: add files to this report. And then you can choose file. So if you've already scanned all your stuff and it's saved in the cloud or a PDF, you can upload it, and then it's attached right to this course report. It's good stuff. Really helpful. Do it. Okay, do it, please. We also get a lot of questions about, remind me where all the resources are. How do I, get information about different things? So just a reminder, great place to go is, the osha.gov/outreach page. And you can pull up info both for general industry, construction. They're all broken out. Those PowerPoints that were probably shown to you in class, those are available there. The other page to check out certainly is the training library on OSHA's page. They've got all kinds of different stuff. Some of this was definitely supplied to you in your 500 or your 501, but we don't always remember it. So here it is again. You can find it when you go to the library page on osha.gov, and the Susan Harwood grant materials that are developed. Those are really good things to make use of. There's typically an instructor guide. There's oftentimes videos, there's PowerPoints, there's things in different languages, really nice materials. You can search by topic, right? Machine guarding or lockout tagout or HAZCOM. And so if you're like, this topic's not really in my wheelhouse, where can I find something that might be a good starting place? The Harwood materials are always really good. You just want to pay attention to the publication date to make sure that things get changed or modified. You do that too, right? Mute some of you. Okay. Upcoming events and resources, just wanted to remind you, beyond the 502 and 503, we got a whole bunch of other classes that some of you I know have taken because you've achieved certificates with us, and others of you might be, still like, okay, what else is out there? And so I want to just highlight, these three really good ones for going beyond OSHA. All right, beyond sort of standard related stuff into more of the realm of how do people learn? How do I become a better trainer? For those of you who are like, the 500 and the 501 were great, but I want some more practice. The 7003 class that's set for June is a great 3-day class that gives you a lot of opportunity to do hands-on practice with other team members on how to build out learning objectives and activities and an agenda and all that kind of stuff. So that's a really, really useful class. We've also got this class coming back. It was one that was offered a long time ago, and we just haven't had opportunity because it's so very hands-on. The value-added safety, lean enterprise and safety management class is a collaborative class between our safety group and the Georgia Manufacturing Extension Partnership Group. So they do a lot around, you know, Six Sigma and lean, those types of principles. And it's really a nice integration of different concepts. So if you've got dual roles like in quality and production and safety, this is a really good one. And I would encourage, you to bring a couple of teammates from your group to attend. We've also got a few more free seminars planned. So we've got, the ones that have got lines through them are the ones that have already happened, but we've got warehousing and storage, machine guarding, and emergency action that are also coming up through the summer and into the fall. I've got a question. I see when OSHA might update the intro to OSHA PowerPoint to match the new lesson guide. Some of you've looked at the introduction to OSHA. They give us an instructor guide and they give us the mandatory handouts, but there's no PowerPoint. I have heard no dialogue around them issuing a PowerPoint for it, because I think that they're sort of saying, hey, trainer, as long as you cover these topics, you can do it however you want. So you don't have to do a PowerPoint around each of those topics. You can just dialogue about it. They really want that introduction to OSHA section to be participatory and exploratory of what do people know about OSHA and what are their misconceptions and preconceptions, and do folks understand rights and responsibilities? And so they are giving you the leeway to formulate that question and answers as you want. Yeah.
You had given me that the OSHA 50th anniversary video. It was recommended for me to use that in the introduction to OSHA.
That's a great one. And so I'm not going to show that slide today, but if you download the PDF of today's slides, you'll have the link to it for everybody else. If you hadn't yet seen that, it's on OSHA's page too, but it's in the supplementary resources. Thanks for bringing that one up. It's a good one. And I see your question about 3M85, and I will get with you offline about that. Any other questions? Mitchell, was that you?
Yeah.
Or Julio? Yeah.
I was just saying that, yeah, I'm using the video also as part of the introduction. It seems to go very well. So,
great.
received.
Oh, that's good feedback, y'all. Thank you. Julio.
Yes, ma'am. So on the new portal, I think this was my second time on it. I think the class I did last Saturday, I did 5 hours last Saturday. This Saturday coming up, I'm doing the other half. So I did not fill out the advance notice. If I fill one out today, when I get back to the house, is that going to be permissible?
Yeah, no, that's fine. So your advance notice, right, is going to give the date that you expect to start your class and then the date that you anticipate it will end, right? And
yes,
so sometimes I'll have folks who are they don't know, for construction, a 30-hour, right? A lot of that end date might rely on the weather, right? And when they can pull people for finishing out training. So if you had to, because you didn't really have a date set, at the very least, you could put that 6-month range, right? Because you have 6 months to complete that class. So you could set it that way if you wanted to, or if it's going to be this week and next week, you would just make that sort of week-long range. And then when you go to do your course report, You will only fill in on the days that you actually did training.
All right. thank you.
Okay. Yep, great question. Just a couple of other just sort of real timely resources to let you know about. Again, we did just have all the fall stand downs. I'm sure some of you were involved in a variety of those things. OSHA's got a Beat the Heat competition that's has been launched to try to get people to share sort of their best practices around informing workers about the hazards of working in the heat. So that is due on June 9th, but you can get more information about that on OSHA's website. CPWR and NIOSH, they just made, there's a wealth of new fall protection resources. And so I think this PDF was attached to the invite for this Zoom, so that you hopefully got to use some of that stuff before the fall stand down, but we'll make sure that it's posted on the webpage because a lot of it are hyperlinks. And so you can just click right on them to get more info. We want to keep talking about falls because there's now a new national emphasis program around falls. A lot of people have started incorporating talking about workplace stress, how to recognize it, what are the hazards, what we can do to prevent it. That can go into a 10-hour. Right, that can go into a 30-hour. There's lots of resources that are available. And so I would encourage you to think about maybe putting together, a half an hour conversation on this particular topic. There's resources on OSHA's page for workplace stress. And the National Safety Council has got a lot of really, really excellent info about fatigue, workplace fatigue. So this is really honing in on the what happens in the brain, what's happening in the body, and what are those outcomes for production, quality, safety, when we're not getting enough sleep. Just like we've done a lot of research and we know that Americans are chronically underhydrated, right? We don't drink enough water, which puts us at a lot of risk for heat illness. We're also chronically tired. So all of those types of things are worth focusing on, and National Safety Council has got some really, really nice resources that I would encourage you to take a look at. Jenny, I see your hand.
There's just 2 questions in the chat for you to address.
Okay, we are almost, I see 385. Okay. And then just mark your calendar if you didn't already for Safe and Sound Week will take place in August. Again, these are where you can sign up as a company to sort of show your commitment to safety and health management programs and all of the elements that go with that, whether it's training or hazard ID or prevention strategies. And so they're showcasing that now. You can plan to sign up. And I know they send a certificate to participating companies once the week is completed. So just wanted to highlight that for you as well. The remainder of the slides, which will be as a PDF, again, are going to focus on more portal information and additional training reminders and a lot more resources for your training content. And I'm not going to go through them now, so they're just there for you to use if you want. Don't forget to, connect with us either through LinkedIn, sign up for the safety blog, or the quarterly newsletter that we put out, contact us and stay in touch as we want to be able to help you as best as we can. So that's it for presentation. So I'll pause here for questions. I know we've got a couple about EM 385. OSHA is the federal government. Army Corps is federal government. Why can't they have the same standards? It's $1 million question. I don't have the answer to that. Anybody else? They're the federal government. I don't even want to venture a guess on that one, but you're right. They cover a lot of the same stuff. And it's always challenging, right? It's like falls, caught in, but it's the way they run. I don't know why they won't have the same standards. It's the same for maritime related stuff and the ports and how each of the jurisdictions want to handle different things. resources, safety resources for a trainer on EM 385. I'd love to just put that to the group. Has anyone got any feedback that they could share or want to share around the EM 385? I know we got a lot of military folks that are our outreach trainers.
Well, I know it's not unusual for each branch to have its own set of safety requirements, safety guidelines, similar to EM 385. I know the Marine Corps had its own program as well. It may stem from the nature of the fact that while they're not finable by OSHA, they can still be cited and they want to have stringent standards, or because of the unique nature of the operations that are different for a military operation, including engineers. They have additional standards that they're enforcing that are outside of OSHA standards.
And I'd like to explain my question. This is Keith. I asked, we do a lot of military and federal jobs that require employees to have a 3 EM 385 safety training. I'm trying to find a way of becoming the trainer so we don't have to send our employees out to other third parties to get the training. The problem is Army Corps of Engineers does not offer any kind of authorized trainer like OSHA does, nor do they approve. I'm just trying to find out, how can I meet this trainer requirements to satisfy our government contracts to train employees?
It's not easy. It's not, I mean, I'm trying to teach a class right now on a port site scaffold class. I've been teaching scaffold classes for 15 years, and they almost did not accept me because they wanted my certification that I was qualified to train. Well, OSHA doesn't require anything like that. So I had to get a letter from the SAIA, and they almost didn't accept. They wanted a certificate, you know, but I got a letter from the Scaffold Association, and I'm a competent person through them. But it's not they're training the trainer is a generic train the trainer course. It's not per topic.
Well,
so it was very difficult. The guy, the outreach, the EM 385 guy on site was being very difficult.
They told me they have no trainer program. They've never
They
had.
don't. They don't. They require you to provide documentation. Now, it all depends on who the EM 385-1-1 guy on your site is too, because what it says is they refer you to the ANSI 490.1 for the your training has to qualify with that, and in there it says that they could accept a resume as your certification. But this guy wanted a cert. We have to have a certificate.
Yeah.
So he was being very particular on what he wanted, but that's not what it says. They have the option. They have a lot of leeway. So it all depends on who you get.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, thank you for your input.
I had to say,
go ahead, Santos.
that's the same thing happened to me. I'm retired military, so I could get on the base and everything like that, even though I could get on the base and I'm OSHA trained and all that stuff. But when I got there, like they say, the CG is such a butt. I had to take that 40-hour course, I had to give a certificate before I could even start training the guys. And these are guys that have no clue. They don't even have their OSHA cards, but yet they're, it's just crazy.
I have to send my guys to a training company, 360, for example. That's the only outfits that a lot of our contractors will accept.
Yeah. And you have to take the exam, which takes you almost half a day to get all the information to get it done to them. But it's what they request.
Yeah.
And this is really good dialogue. And I mean, it's frustrating dialogue, but it's good dialogue. But what I have found, I think, is that it's not consistent because we had one of our trainers. I mean, he's one of our, not just an outreach trainer, he is an instructor for the Ed Center. He runs our OSHA fall protection class, and they were calling us and saying, well, can you produce a certificate or I'm like, no, he is our instructor. Like, I have his resume, I have his training background, but he's already provided that to you too. But like, I don't have anything in addition to, and and it was, they're, you know, really whoever's looking at it, sometimes they're looking for something really specific and sometimes they're not. So that's a frustrating thing, Keith. I'm sorry.
I just don't understand. You're dealing with somebody who was in the service or previously in the service or in the service, and those people are a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just following whatever rule they were given, right? Yeah.
I'm one of
yeah.
those, but I still expect to be able to produce some documentation. You can't tell me I got to produce a certificate, and then you can't tell me what your reference is. It says I got to produce a certificate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you very much for the input.
And
Yeah,
the
great
probable reason
question.
for them, the probable reason for them asking for a certificate in it would be the fact that EM 385 standards do differ from the OSHA standards. So they're asking, do you know the standards before, as you know, before you're teaching those? So it may be similar to the 501, 502, 503, 50, you know, that type concept. That's what they're looking to verify is that, yes, you're an instructor. Yes, you're an OSHA authorized instructor, but do you understand and know the 385 standards before you teach those as well? And that's the certificate they're looking for.
No, they want a certificate on that particular topic, nothing, not general. I told them, I showed them my OSHA cards and stuff. And nope, that wasn't enough. They didn't care about
Yeah.
OSHA.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, all right. Well, good. We've got some folks that are up against the same challenge. I mean, I've got a couple of other folks that I can ask, Keith, but I think that the experience is basically the same for some of them. Thank you all for joining. We're at our time. The YouTube video will be posted as well as the slides, so you can re-reference them and then click on all the hyperlinks for resources. Thanks for your attention today. I'll stick on if anyone's got any questions. Yeah, I see you, Santos. I won't stop.
No, I just want to tell you that I really appreciate having Yvonne working with you guys. She is such a knowledge to help you out. I bought a new laptop and I was trying to load it up and I was trying to get into the web and try to get on my stuff. And I just happened to text her about 6:30 at 7 o'clock at night. And she responded to me and she walked me through it and got all my information, got all my everything I needed to get logged into. And I just want to tell her, thank you so much.
Appreciate that. I will make sure she gets that message. She cares about our outreach trainers a lot and wants to make sure that you've got the best service that you can have. And so thanks for shouting her out there, Santos. I appreciate it.
You're
Oh, stay in touch. We'll see you all soon. Be well, okay?
Cool.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks too.
Go Cowboys.